Right, we are live. Hi, everyone. Good evening, good morning. Just let us know you're here on the chat very quickly. If you're able to hear me, see me, just let me know. We are also live on YouTube. So if you're watching us on YouTube, uh, quickly let me know on the live chat. Just introduce yourself, your name, and the city that you're from. Okay, great. Quickly introduce yourself. Give me your name and the city that you're from. My name is Aparna. I'm going to be your host for today, and it's going to be a very interesting session. Today, you're going to learn about how you can draft a resume using GenAI. It seems very simple, but it's actually very nuanced. And once you actually learn it, you'll be amazed at the power of GenAI, right? And how it can help you in your job search. So very quickly introduce yourself. Kalyani, hi, Deepak, Ashish, Preetham, Dyrus, Reyes, you are from Spain. Welcome. Sarabjeet, same here. It's great and amazing to have all of you here. Sarth, okay, Akshay, Carolyn, you're from Indianapolis. Nice to have you here. Murtaza from Hyderabad. Okay. Pam from North Carolina. Okay. It's great to see people from the US as well. John from London. Kate from New Jersey. Okay, okay. You guys, just your name and the city for now. Okay, I know there are going to be a lot of polls for you to answer. So today's session is going to involve you to be really interactive and engage with us. So at this moment, just introduce yourself, just for us to know each other better, right? So I'm streaming from Bangalore. We've got our expert today who's going to take you through today's session and also give you a short demo of how you can actually use GenAI, right? I'm sure all of you are looking forward to today's session. Okay. Okay. Yes, I will talk about all Purdue courses in general, all the applied AI courses that we have in general. Of course, the focus is on this particular course, but you might be from any domain, but remember, GenAI is still relevant, right? So that we'll do that towards the end. And if you do have questions, please make sure you put them on the Q&A box. Whether it's whatever is being covered about the session, whether it's about your career, whether it's about Gen AI, anything, please put it on the Q&A box. Remember that all of you guys are really interactive on the chat, and it might be difficult for us to track all the questions here, right? So it's difficult to scroll up and see who posted what. So it's always easy if you just use the Q&A box for questions. Please keep the questions relevant to what is being discussed. If there's anything specific, please maybe let us know what your question is in detail and what your concern is so that we can address it. Now, one quick thing, because we've close to 75, 80 people now. So just considering the amount of people that there are, we might not be able to take questions in the same sequence as they're posted, right? So do not worry if I don't answer your question first, or if something is being answered first. Don't worry. All the questions that you post will be answered. So don't post them again. It's just going to waste your time, right? So just wait until your questions are answered. Yes? Okay, and also remember, this particular session is being recorded. So if you miss something, do not worry again. You will be given the recording and the webinar certificate. Okay, Kalyani, yes, we will be addressing all of that, but today's session is more about how you can secure an interview call, how you can leverage Gen AI and use it to craft a powerful resume. The session is about that, and I'm sure all of you are looking forward to it. Okay, Great. So remember, the session is being recorded. You will receive a certificate in the next 24 hours. We also are active on WhatsApp right now. So if you guys are not a part of our community yet, I'll send the link to our WhatsApp community towards the end as well. So you guys can be, you can join the community for any further webinar updates. Okay? Yes. So quick thing again, there are going to be a lot of polls that you will answer on Zoom. So if you are watching us on YouTube, please use the live chat to answer these polls. And the very first poll or the question that I have for you is, what is your work experience like? Now, this is because we would want you to know better. So a couple of questions on what our learner's profile is, right? So here you go. I'm just going to launch a quick poll. And people on YouTube, you could let us know what your work experience is. Use the live chat. Here, Surendra, welcome, and everyone else watching us on YouTube as well. Welcome. Use the poll, guys, please, please. Okay, okay. And I encourage everyone to answer within the next 30 seconds. Yeah. Okay, Kalyani, your question is not clear, so just wait till the session starts. Yes. Hmm. Poll is on Zoom. So you will find an option called poll. Click on the three dots if you're watching us on a phone. You'll find an option called polls. That's where you'll find today's poll. Okay. Yeah. So it just automatically pops up on your screen. You don't have to do anything. Okay, great. So I'm just ending the poll here, and another very quick poll coming up on your domain. Okay. This is also for us to know a little better. So I'm sharing these results with everyone so everyone can see. A lot of you are above 5 years. Okay, cool. Now another poll coming up right away because I don't want you to be interrupted during the session. So all questions about your profile right now. Yeah. So what's your current job role? Another poll coming up. You have got 20 years of experience, Surendra. Nice to know that. Let us know what your job role is. Again, or people on YouTube, use the live chat. Whatever it is, whatever seems the most relevant. Okay, yes, Kalyani, but also you will understand how through this session. Yeah, great. Sarth, we'll take your question towards the end. Yes, we're coming to that, Ajay. Today, like I said, today's session is entirely about that. Okay, which is the best GenAI tool to use in general for resume or for for general use. Anyway, we'll answer these questions. These questions will be answered through the session. I haven't introduced the expert yet, so just hang around. Yes. Okay. Okay, great. I think we'll get started very quickly. Let me introduce Simplilearn to you. Most of you are already aware of what Simplilearn does. Simplilearn is a platform that helps you upskill in various domains: GenAI, machine learning, data science, cybersecurity, cloud computing. You can be in any domain. You can still choose courses, long-term courses, certifications to upskill yourself and find better opportunities, leverage whatever you've learned and find better opportunities. So how we stand out is the way we follow a practical approach towards learning. So whatever we teach towards the end of every course, almost you will be able to implement practically as to whatever you learned, right? So the agenda or the theme of today's session is also around that. So you will actually see practically as to how you can use GenAI for your resume. And for taking you through the session, we've got Nagendra, who has nearly 3 decades of mentoring and also leadership experience, right? So he is a digital transformation coach. He's an agile coach. He also coaches in Gen AI, design thinking. So he is probably a multi-domain expert. So he's facilitated more than 1,000 workshops already. And Nagendra, it's great to have you. once again. So you can introduce yourself, and I think I'll also stop screen sharing so that you can take over from here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Aparna. Let me bring my screen up. Can you please confirm that my screen is visible and I'm audible, Aparna?
Yes, yes, you're audible.
Okay, fantastic. Hi, folks. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you. Very nice to be amidst all of you this fine evening here, at least in my time zone. I know it's probably morning or afternoon for many of you. So, as Aparna was explaining, I think Gen AI is something that is becoming a partner in the room for practically anything you can think of. And one of the key applications that can be very, very powerful is to help power up your resume, right? It's almost like AI powered resumes, AI powered cover letters, and so on, as people look to gain an advantage in the process of getting hired, looking for their dream role, looking for that next role that they are very excited about. So that's kind of what we'll take a look at today in over the next, say, 40 minutes or so. I also have a few demos for you along the way, and we'll look at some of the questions towards the end. Okay, we look. You can continue to put your questions in the Q&A box as Aparna explained, and we look at some of your questions towards the end. So again, I don't think I need to spend too much time introducing myself. Aparna was already kind enough to do quite a bit of that already. Just that I spent a big part of my career with IBM, about 16 years, both in the US and in India. More recently, I was the director of engineering at Honeywell, where I was responsible for home automation systems division. And over the last few years, I've been more of a coach, facilitator, mentor, trainer, what have you. And I've been dabbling with generative AI in many different aspects, both as a trainer and as a consultant over the last year and a half plus, right? So, what puts me in this unique position where I can share something useful with you in this context is that over the decades, I've done a lot of hiring, right? So, as you can imagine, I've hired for very different types of roles across different organizations, different regions, and different timelines as well. So while there is one aspect of me that understands how the hiring process works, what hiring managers look for, and I myself, of course, applied to various jobs as an applicant. The other aspect is I've come to discover the power of generative AI and have seen it in action in various situations over the last year and a half to 2 years. So I'm trying to blend those two in this discussion here today that I'm looking forward to facilitate. Okay, so that's a bit about me. So let's get started. I'll start with a brief overview of the job market as we come to a close in 2024, and 2025 is right around the corner. A few different aspects I'd like to call out very quickly. Not all of it might be new to you, but there are things that I'm sure you're already aware of. But the first thing you should know is that talent pools today are global. And that has been the case for many years now. Organizations don't limit themselves to hiring talent only within their geography. They may look for global talent pools as well. And there is a lot of dependence on technology today as the first step. When people applied for a particular job, there are applicant tracking systems or ATS systems, many of which are AI driven or AI powered these days and do the initial screening of resumes and applicants. So there is some amount of focus we need on that aspect. I'll talk through that towards the end of today's session. And there's a huge demand for future ready skills, right? So one of the key things that I like to talk about is how, and I'll bring this up again towards the end, how
Okay, I think that's just a minor glitch. He'll probably be back in about 30 seconds. So apparently Zoom has this issue where the speaker gets stuck, or I mean, it just freezes speaker's video. So Nagendra should be back in a bit. Do not worry if you're not able to hear him. You are able to hear me? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Nagendra, you're visible now.
okay, not how much did you lose of what I was talking about? Was I
About
gone? seconds or
About
long?
30 seconds, 30 to 45 seconds. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me continue then.
Yes.
So recruiters are looking for measurable impact, right? These days when they look for resumes. If your resume is very generic in terms of what it talks about and what your achievements are, it may get deprioritized compared to somebody who talks about some very specific numbers and impact that they have had. For instance, I work to increase sales by 20% through these innovative methods of trying to find new customers or upselling or cross-selling or what have you, right? And sometimes resumes have also becoming more visual in nature, depending on the type of job you're applying for, of course. I've even seen some very interesting video resumes. Not all organizations encourage that, but it is a possibility out there, right? So my bottom line call out to all of you, and I'm guessing that at least some of you, if not all of you, are looking for that next big role in the coming year, is that we must adapt to a tech-driven hiring landscape, right? Where technology plays a very key role in the hiring landscape. And we must be able to demonstrate unique value, not just in the interviews, but also the first impression we cast through the resume. Because the first thing that people will see about you is your resume or your LinkedIn profile, and you'll not get a chance to talk through that right away. It's only if you get shortlisted you'll actually get a chance to talk through that. So how can you make an impression with your first step, which is always a resume? And how can generative AI and tools similar to generative AI help you stay ahead of the game is a big part of what's going to come in the future, right? What's already beginning to be seen. So here are some trends. I think we talked briefly about this in the previous slide as well. Resumes have evolved from just plain text documents to more dynamic formats that not only are visually appealing but also give a sense of who you are, right? So people might choose to use some very sober colors to indicate their approach to their professional ethos. People who work in very creative fields might choose to make their resumes very colorful, maybe even use some multimedia elements in it to indicate that they're bursting with creativity. And all this matters because ultimately the recruiters are looking for relevance of the role that they have advertised and your fitment to that. So standing out in what I'm sure is always a crowded job market. This is not new to 2025. It's always been the case. It's always going to be that way as talent explodes across the globe. Standing out in such a crowded job market requires that kind of focus and differentiation, right? Just a couple more trends, and then we'll actually get to talking a little more about generative AI. As I was telling you, one of the things that resumes tend to focus on these days, resume builders, whether you use AI or not, is how to optimize your resume for these applicant tracking systems, right? There may be some specific keywords, specific kinds of formatting that you need to focus on so that the ATS systems, which are basically automated, they are not actually they hardly have any human involvement. So these optimized systems or automated systems will look for certain characteristics in your resume, and the more of that you have, the more likely that these systems will shortlist you. And again, quantifiable achievements are a big thing, so call out any metrics that make sense. And don't forget soft skills, right? Because ultimately I look at any job in the world this way, right? If you ask me, what is the most one common element about any job in the world, I would say it is working with other human beings, right? It's working with other human beings, whether you're a teacher, doctor, software engineer, a business analyst, an investment banker, somebody in customer support, whatever it is that you do. Ultimately, your role boils down to one very fundamental aspect, which is working with other human beings. And therefore, soft skills are very important to demonstrate as well. And these could include communication skills, problem solving, collaborating as a team to solve a problem, and so on. Some of the things to watch out for, right? Pitfalls, so to speak. Don't overload your resume with irrelevant information. It used to be, I remember, like maybe 25, 30 years back, that the longer your resume, the more impressive it was, but it's no longer the case. I think it's very important that you keep it very succinct with very relevant information that you want to highlight and that you believe the recruiters will want to hear about why you are a fit for that role. And don't use too many generic templates. In fact, these days with generative AI, and we'll talk about that as we go along, you can even create tailored versions of your resume for specific roles that you're applying to. And don't neglect format consistency, readability, and other visual aspects of your resume. Because if everything is fantastic, if you're like, you have some really awesome experience that makes you a great fit for the role, but your resume appears cluttered to the recruiter, that might be one quick reason why they may deprioritize your resume, right? So these are some of the things to keep an eye on as you look to build out your resume and stand out in a crowd of applicants and hope to get that dream job. Let's switch gears and talk a bit about generative AI, because our focus here is how generative AI can be a game changer for building your perfect resume. So most of you, if not all of you, might be familiar with generative AI, but in case some of you are not, and some of you are new to it or just have heard about it, I think it behooves me to maybe spend a couple of minutes getting everybody on the same page in terms of what is generative AI. So artificial intelligence is a very broad umbrella, and it's been the research and development of artificial intelligence has been going on for decades now, believe it or not, right? And it has been evolving, and there's been research on various categories or various fields of artificial intelligence that includes things like neural networks, deep learning, natural language processing, machine learning, of course, and more recently, generative AI, right? So generative AI is basically, as the name suggests, an AI capability that generates artifacts for you, be it documents, be it answering questions and finding some relevant information for you, be it analyzing data and returning some analysis patterns for you, be it creating images, videos, sound bites, a whole host of capabilities. And it uses a lot of sophisticated algorithms under the covers, which includes, by the way, machine learning and deep learning as well, right? And natural language processing too. And most of these generative AI tools use a conversational interface these days, where you can talk to it as though it's a partner in the room. So when people ask me, what's the best way of looking at generative AI, I would say always look at it as a partner in the room, a partner that never tires and is full of information, and it's quite smart too. It can help you out in any situation, but with an asterisk, always verify what data you're getting back as these systems evolve. Don't blindly accept the outcomes of these generative AI systems, right? So with that, let's talk about some of the more common generative AI tools that are out there that people have started using quite a bit in various situations, right? Among them is ChatGPT, which was probably among the first to actually become publicly accessible, based on an open source model developed by OpenAI. And GPT here stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. Won't get too much into the technical jargon behind that, but you should know that this essentially means that the system has been trained on a whole host of parameters, and it continues to learn as people interact with it, right? So once a model is released and we start interacting with it as users, millions of users probably across the globe, every one of us will probably be giving some, supplying some unique data to it, asking some unique questions of it, giving it some unique feedback. And as we do that, these models learn and evolve, right? So that's why if you notice today, if you ask a question in ChatGPT, and you ask the same identical question tomorrow or after a few hours, you'll probably get a slightly nuanced answer. And that's likely a design or function of the fact that these models continue to evolve. There are others too, like Copilot, Microsoft Copilot, Claude.ai, GitHub Copilot, a kind of a variant of Copilot that focuses more on helping coders as a coding assistant, and Google Gemini, which works very well if you want an AI system that looks at your email, your calendar, your Google Drive, Google Sheets, and kind of creates a big picture for you to work within. Google Gemini is a very interesting AI system, and many others that are coming up for some very niche use cases. And we'll see, if possible, some examples of that today. The last thing I want to call out, because people often use this term, and in case you're thinking, okay, I heard about generative AI, I heard about what is GPT, but then there are also all these terms being bandied about like LLMs. What are those? So LLM is a large language model, and essentially it's the parameters that these chat GPTs of the world are trained on. I won't again get too much into this because that's not our focus today. But I think it's important that at least you're familiar with this term in case you have heard it used in this context. And there are a lot of large language models out there today. And ChatGPT is certainly a great example of one that is trained on a large language model, and that's one of the essences of how it understands what we ask of it and how it knows how to respond in a relevant and coherent way, right? So these are some of the things to keep in mind as we explore generative AI today, more relevant to our topic of resume building. But first, let me do this. In case some of you are new to using generative AI systems, I suspect many of you or most of you already use some generative AI systems. But in case there are a few who have joined us today who are new to this, let me do a quick introductory demo to begin with. Okay. So Aparna, can you confirm my ChatGPT screen is visible?
Not yet, not yet.
Okay. Let me reshare my screen.
Sure.
How about now?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So what I've done here is I've logged into ChatGPT, which is basically something you can do online by going to their website. It's fair, simple enough. You can just go to chatgpt.com. And of course, as with many of these subscriptions, you have a free plan with some limitations, and you have a couple of tiered plans that you can pay for as well. Mine is not a free plan, so there may be some things that work better than a free plan in case you notice a difference. But how do you interact with these systems? As I was saying, most of these generative AI systems are conversational in nature. So there is this whole topic called prompt engineering that's talked about. What it comes down to is not a discipline of engineering, as the name indicates, but it is about crafting prompts, using the right language and providing the right context and the right clarity for these systems to understand what you are asking of it and respond with something that will be very valuable to you, right? So a simple prompt like, can you look at my sales data and tell me how we did over the last 2 quarters, compared to a more nuanced prompt like, hey, here is my last few quarters of sales data. Can you point out some red flags in this, any anomalies in the pattern? Because we noticed that in July of 2024 our sales dipped for a brief period of time, and I'm looking to understand that better. So you're giving it more context, right? So while prompt engineering talks about many techniques like zero shot prompting, few shot prompting, and so on, that's not the focus of our discussion today. For the purposes of our discussion, all I want you to know is prompting is basically the way you pose your question and request to these generative AI systems. The clearer with more context, the better. Okay, so let's take a quick sample here. I have logged into ChatGPT and I've clicked on new chat. So with every new topic that you want to engage with these systems on, you can click a new chat or a new thread option. And remember, these will remember the context. So if you come back to this particular thread weeks from now, it will still remember what you last asked of it and what it responded. And you can continue the conversation as though you never left off. So that's another interesting thing to remember. So let me go ahead and put in a simple prompt here, right? Just for fun. Are people using generative AI for building their resumes? If yes, what kind of impact is it having on successfully landing jobs? Something that I'm sure is a question that might have passed through your minds at some point. So let me hit enter, and let's see what ChatGPT responds with, right? So you can see that the response was fairly quick, and it says, among other things, I'm not going to read the whole thing for you, but it says, yes, many job seekers are utilizing GenAI to craft their resumes and cover letters. And the widespread use of AI in resume creation has led to a surge in generic and formulaic applications. Recruiters have started noting that AI generated resumes often exhibit telltale signs, so you may want to keep an eye on that. And it also calls out some sources, right? It also calls out some sources that it responds to. Again, I want to be very clear that as you use these systems more and more, and as you get information back from them, please have some kind of a check and balance in place to verify the information it is giving you, because it sounds so cool and so impressive that we just might be tempted to blindly accept whatever it is telling us. But often, I think it's important to remember that we do need to verify, because sometimes it can give you something completely wrong and misleading. It does happen from time to time, although the frequency of such things happening have reduced as these systems evolve and get better and better. Okay. Another thing I want to show you is in ChatGPT, there is an option called Explore GPTs. If you click on that, what that shows you is the ability to use other types of services out there through ChatGPT as the interface. So if, for example, if there is a resume building service out there that allows you to interact with that service through ChatGPT in a conversational way. So let me show you as an example. If I just type resume here, you can see the number of options it comes back with, right? A resume by JobBright, a resume by Master Interview, interview and resume, resume writer, the resume expert, and so on. So all these are not part of ChatGPT, but they are other third-party services that you can, typically find using their website, but you're able to interact with those services using a conversational interface through ChatGPT. So it's almost like ChatGPT has plugged in with some of these third-party services and allows you to interact with them in a conversational way, just like you do with ChatGPT. So there are many interesting ones here. One common one that all of you might be aware of is Canva, which allows you to create visual representations, logos, social media posts, even your presentations and so on. So for those of you who might have used Canva to bring out some creative elements in your work, you can see that there's a plugin for Canva here, and you can actually use Canva and ask Canva through ChatGPT to create an image for you, right? So there are some of those things that you can do. I thought I'll briefly call that out here as something you can explore on your own, called Explore GPTs. Okay. So let me come back to my slides with that short introductory demo being done, and let me continue. Aparna, my slides are visible again, right?
Yes, yes,
Okay,
they're visible.
thank you. So how is generative AI a game changer? What are some of the things it can do for us? I'm sure some of it is obvious, but we'll also take a look at some of the finer details underneath the covers there. But broadly speaking, it can help you tailor, your resume to a particular job you're applying. It can help you create a very polished and very impressive cover letter. And it can even act as a mock interviewer with you if you want, where you can say, hey, I want to apply for this role. Here's a job description. Here's my resume. Act as the interviewer and talk to me, right? So it can actually ask you a bunch of questions and try to get you prepared and give you feedback on how you answered. The only nuance being that you may have to type your answers, although there may be some things out there which converts speech to text as well. So you can try that out. And you can optimize your resume and your application as you go along for each role that you apply, right? So this kind of bridges the gap between very generic templates and highly personalized applications. Because when applying for jobs, one of the things we always possibly struggle a bit with is personalizing our application, making sure that it stands out compared to others and not look like just another chip off the block, right? So those are some of the things that generative AI can do a very nice job of for us. So benefits of using generative AI can be around personalizing your resume, the speed and efficiency with which you can create a perfect resume that you're very happy with. If we are left to our own devices and have to create one, let's assume it takes us maybe 2 to 3 hours, and even then we may not be fully happy with it. Generative AI can probably help us get there in maybe under 10 minutes, right? Or possibly shorter. You can also explore different options very quickly, bring in some creativity, format variety. You can maybe ask generative AI to give you four different types of resumes and look at which one makes you feel more confident and so on. All that is a little harder to do without a tool like generative AI. Okay, so let's get started with how do we actually create resumes using generative AI. And the first thing that I'll call out is feeding the right data. And this is true for anything you use generative AI for, right? I told you the best prompt is the one that is very clear on what you want, provides clarity on the context, and provides any data that the generative AI system can use to respond to you in a very coherent way, right? So it's very important that we provide accurate information and call out some of the things that make sense to us, for like quantifiable accomplishments that we've had in our career so far, use of role specific keywords and terminology that's specific to our domain, and so on. Again, be careful not to overload your prompt with a lot of irrelevant details. I don't think you need to talk about which city you grew up in and what are some of your hobbies right off the bat. Nor should you leave gaps, right? You should not give gaps where generative AI will either try to fill in the blanks with superficial stuff, or it will simply ignore some parts of your accomplishments because there's not enough data. So you want to strike that balance where you're giving it enough data, which makes sense, all the relevant domain points, and not anything extraneous that might be useless or might confuse the system into how to use it in your resume. So let's take a look at a quick demo here. I've created some cheat sheets for myself, just so that I don't have to type and waste time. This is a time boxed activity, right? So I'm going to pick a profile here called Raj, who's an IT support specialist. Okay. And then I'm going to try getting a cover letter for Raj as he looks to apply for certain opportunities. So let's take a quick look at that on ChatGPT and see how that works. And by the way, if you are more comfortable using Microsoft Copilot or Claude.ai, many of those AI tools out there, you're welcome to try those out. In my experience, I think I don't have any one favorite. I cannot recommend as, hey, this is the best AI tool. While I don't have any recommendations like that, my observation tells me that because ChatGPT has been used by many users for a longer period of time, its models at this point of time are more evolved, right? Sometimes I believe the responses from ChatGPT are better compared to a Copilot, only and only because more people have used it over time and the models have evolved better, right? Not because I believe that ChatGPT is a better technology than Microsoft Copilot or vice versa. I think it's less about that, more about which models for these systems have evolved better over time. And you can tell that easily by the kind of responses you get. Okay. So let me go back here and start a new chat. And let me put up Raj's profile here first, right? Okay. And it will start telling me something, but I'm going to stop it and say, wait for my instruction. Okay. And you can see what I put here, right? Very simple profile. He's a customer IT support specialist with 5 years of experience, looking to transition into a cloud computing or systems administrator role, and is also keen to use AI to create a keyword-rich ATS optimized resume, and wants some guidance on tailoring his skills to match job postings. Okay, so with that, let me come back with a prompt here. And this is the prompt I'm going to use. Again, I'm just using already created prompts to save the time and effort of typing it out, right? But they're all my prompts, just be reassured. So here is my prompt. Can you help build a cover letter for Raj as he looks to apply for opportunities outside of his current place for employment? On a high, medium, low scale, I would rate this as a medium to low kind of a prompt in terms of quality, because I could give a lot more details here, right? In terms of what job is he applying for, what kind of a cover letter would I like? Are there some specific things I want mentioned in the cover letter? But for now, let's get started with something high level. Because another way of using these systems is to start with something a little generic. And as you look at the response it gives you, you can ask for tailoring specific elements of it. Because sometimes we need to look at the initial output to realize what improvements we want in it. So don't beat yourself up if you cannot create a prompt to get at in the get go that contains all the details of what you want. Sometimes it might be iterative in nature as well, where we ask for something a little more generic, we get something a little more generic, then we start fine tuning aspects of it with follow up questions or prompts. But let's start with this. Okay. So here we go. Um, can you help build a cover letter for Raj based on the profile that I gave, right? So here it comes back with a quick format of a cover letter. If I had given all this information, it would probably fill it in, but otherwise it's giving placeholders so that Raj can fill it in himself, right? And you can look at it that it's fairly comprehensive. There are certainly things we can improve on it, no doubt. I wouldn't say this is the perfect cover letter. You should just run with it. But I think there, like, it has enough in there that I can just fine tune it and use it, right? So you can see it even gives some thoughts at the end that it's designed to highlight Raj's transferable skills, enthusiasm for cloud computing, and alignment with the prospective company's goals. Let me know if you'd like any further refinements. So pretty cool that way. And I thought I'll show you that quick demo on how you can actually give some context, which I did through a short profile about Raj. Now, the profile I gave about Raj was not a resume, remember, it's just a brief profile, some information about Raj. And then I asked a question about creating a cover letter for Raj. Okay, so that was my quick demo here, but let me continue in the interest of time, just keeping an eye on the time here as well. The second thing we need to think about is structuring for impact. What kind of a headline do you want? What kind of summary? What sections do you want? Because typically we talk about sections like educational qualifications, any industry certifications, current role, a summary that calls out what you are or who you are, like a headline and a summary. Then there may be a section around your history of job experience in terms of where you have worked in the past and what kind of roles you have had and what kind of impact you have had in those roles and so on. So again, those are just boilerplate sections that you typically find in a resume, but you can get a little more creative and you can ask generative AI to become a little more creative for you as well, right? Can you create a compelling summary, right? And organize these sections effectively. And you can certainly use generative AI to help make suggestions along the way as well. Okay, so let me head over to another quick demo. In this case, what I've done is I've actually gone through an interaction with generative AI, and I'm just going to show you the output because some of those take time. And if I pause to do the demo here, I think we'll lose some time. So I'm just going to show you what I've already done. So let me find that for you. So I've used a different profile here, as you can see on my screen. Aparna, ChatGPT is visible again, right? Thank you. I've used a background of a person called Emma, who's a customer service representative with 2 years of experience in a call center. And you can read the rest of the things about her. Just a quick profile, similar to the one I had previously for Raj as an IT support specialist. And the first prompt I asked is of building a cover letter, which it did, very similar to what it did for Raj, but again, more specific to what Emma is looking for. But beyond the cover letter, I then continued saying that I would like to build a very compelling resume for Emma. And if you need additional information, please pay attention to this. If you need additional information to create one, please ask in the form of questions one at a time. So you can even ask these generative AI systems, what else do you need from me to create something more meaningful, right? So think of it as really a partner in the room. So you can see what ChatGPT came back with, right? And this side, by the way, I went through this whole thread just a couple of hours back. So it's not an old one or anything. It's fresh off the press. It said, okay, to create a compelling resume for Emma, let's start with her achievements. And here is question number one. So I asked that you should ask me for additional information so that I don't miss anything. And please ask in the form of one question at a time so that you don't ask me a whole bunch of questions and expect me to respond, right? So this may make your job easier because you can respond to one question at a time, like how we are naturally used to interacting with a partner in the room. So the first question it asked was, can you provide specific examples of Emma's accomplishments, such as anything that she's quantifiably improved and so on? So I responded with, Emma has shown a remarkable improvement of 30% in call resolution times over the last 6 months. And her manager called her out in a staff meeting recently as the MVP of the month, MVP being most valuable player, kind of like a star employee. That was last month, right? So it came back saying, okay, we can position her as a high performing professional. And it came back with question number two. Can you share more details about Emma's responsibilities that demonstrate leadership potential? And we won't have an answer for everything. So trying to be realistic, I said, sorry, Emma cannot think of any. And then it came back saying, okay, let's frame her leadership potential from her achievements and traits. So here is the next question to help you uncover more, right? So it's actually continuing with the same question, but it is asking me more questions under the covers, kind of to nudge me to think about it from a different angle. Has she trained or assisted any of her peers, even informally? Has she suggested a new approach to problem solving or improving the workflow or business process? Has she taken ownership of challenging customer situations, right? And interestingly, when it gave me this response, sometimes what ChatGPT does, it gives you two options and tells you to vote for which is better. That's part of its learning. So here you can see it says two of two, right? So if I scroll to the left, it shows me the other option, right? It shows me the other option that it gave. And if I scroll back, this was the option that it gave me. Oops, it scrolled down. Let me bring it back. Okay. And then to that, I responded, yes, she took ownership of a particularly vexing customer issue and helped turn it into a positive outcome. still a little generic. If this was a real person, I'm sure we could give more real details. Given that this is mostly academic in nature, some of the details are more high level, right? She enjoys a positive rapport with that customer even today. Okay, so it came back saying that's fantastic. Taking ownership and resolving a challenging customer issue shows initiative and so on. So it kind of extracted some possible leadership potential from that particular situation, right? So see what it did, right? Though I said Emma can't think of any leadership type of work she has done, it asked some questions to uncover the possibilities there. Then it comes back to me with the next question. What CRM tools or other software has she used? And I call out no other certifications, but she's proficient in using Jira Service Management. So it says, okay, great. And here's another question to refine the resume. Does Emma have any feedback or quotes from customers or colleagues? And I say, other than her manager calling her out as the MVP last month, nothing else is there. And it says, okay, great. So based on that, it actually came back with the first cut of the resume. Okay. I'm not going to go through the resume in detail. You can try these out on your own. But it called out a professional summary about Emma. It even assumed a last name for her. Or maybe I did give it earlier in my profile. No worries. Professional summary, key achievements, professional experience, technical skills, education, and so on, right? Then I said, not so impressive. That's a good start, but it doesn't appear compelling enough. I want Emma's resume to clearly stand out from other applicants. Again, my follow-up prompt here is a slightly generic. In reality, if this was your own resume, you'd probably say, can you improve this section, or can you add a little more to that? Can you add a new section around this? Right? So you'd probably know what specific things to ask for. But I'm being a little more generic in asking that, hey, make this more compelling. So it comes back with a slightly redefined version, right? We're making some small minor changes, and it calls out towards the end what I changed to respond to making this version stand out. So it says, hey, I used some stronger action words, terms like renowned, championing, and transforming to convey her impact. I showcased her measurable achievements through quantifiable metrics. I used some leadership language in her resume, and I also tailored some additional sections, right, beyond her typical responsibilities. And then I said, okay, can you give this to me as a professional formatted PDF to download? It errored out to begin with and then gave me a PDF, which is a fairly straightforward, plain vanilla PDF resume. Okay. So good start. We're not quite there yet. If I look at the resume, it's not like it does not stand out to me as, wow, this has a wow factor to it. But I think it's a good start because even achieving this on our own would probably take us a couple of hours, if not longer. Okay. So let me continue here. Let's think about the next step. Okay, what else do we need to do beyond structuring the sections and calling out quantifiable, improvements and so on? Can you tailor these for specific roles, right? So if there is a specific job description, can you tailor the resume a little more towards that job description? So let me take you back there. Oops. I'll take you back to ChatGPT. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to upload a file, right? I will actually, let me see if I already have that here. Yeah. So, okay, I'll come back to the optimizing the resume for ATS in a bit. Let me go ahead and put this prompt. I will upload a job description that Emma wants to apply for, maybe an open opportunity with some organization. Can you optimize the resume for this specific job description? Okay, so that's my prompt. And ChatGPT will likely encourage me to upload the job description. Okay, so let me see if I can find the job description in my computer. I've downloaded one. And this is the one, right? Team lead customer service job description. And I go ahead and share that and I upload it. So here it comes back saying, I'll optimize Emma's resume to highlight her leadership potential, problem-solving skills, and customer service achievement. Now remember, this job description is an aspirational role for Emma. It's not a lateral move because if you remember Emma's profile, she was customer service representative in a call center with 2 years of experience, aspiring to become a team lead. So this is an a role that she aspires for, and therefore there may be things in there that she may not already have clear demonstration of. So it will optimize Emma's resume to highlight her leadership potential, right? And you can see it optimize some of these things, leadership in action, subtle things. It's not going to dramatically alter the resume to make it look like it's somebody else's resume, but it calls out some of these subtle things to make sure that the resume is now a little more geared towards what recruiters may look for that specific job description. So it calls out this version emphasizes Emma's leadership skills, aligns her achievements with key performance indicators mentioned in the job description, right, and demonstrates her readiness for the team lead role. So let's take a look at the job description itself. If I can quickly get that up for you. Hold on one second. Here we go. Okay. So here is the job description where it's team lead for a customer service call center, where the key responsibilities are team management, customer service excellence, and so on, and the qualifications that it needs, some key competencies and what we offer, and so on, right? So this was the job description I used for that particular activity. Okay, let's continue. So the next thing to think about is improving visual appeal. Again, if you have a very standard black and white text resume, um, there may not be any visual appeal to that stands out, it should be compelling enough for recruiters and hiring managers to want to take a look at it. This looks interesting. Let's see what it contains, right? You need to get them there. And one of the ways to do that is through visual appeal. And there are plenty of design and formatting tools like Canva and so on. And one such AI resume builder, I'll just quickly introduce you to. I'm not going to do an actual demo, although the screen says demo. I also want to keep an eye on the time. But one such, just to recommend one for you, is enhancecv.com. So you can see here, right? Enhancecv.com. And if you use this, you can actually create a resume using a particular template. There are many others like that, by the way. But I'm just showing you one such possibility. You can even do the explore GPT's option in ChatGPT for some of these things. But you can choose a template and build out the sections in that template based on the output that ChatGPT gave you. You can even go back to ChatGPT and say, hey, this is the template I want to use. Can you give me output for specific sections of this template? You can do that as well, right? So you get the content from ChatGPT or a similar AI tool and use it on another tool that creates the visual aspect of it by kind of merging the content from one to another. The interesting thing is even this one has an AI assistant, right? So you can ask this AI assistant to, hey, write and improve my resume. But of course, it can do that only if you have at least created a basic resume. In this particular tool, it does not start from scratch saying, okay, let's start building your resume. But it assumes that you have built out a basic resume with some content in it, and then it will start writing and improving your resume. And you can ask that it add some visual elements into it. You can upload your picture and so on. And there are some resume examples you can look at as well, right? The kind of resumes it helps you create using different templates. So this is another possibility. I want you to keep in mind that you can take the output from mostly a text-based AI tool like ChatGPT. You can ask ChatGPT to create a resume with images and design and so on, but typically it doesn't do such a good job, right? ChatGPT is not known for that kind of outcome being very impressive. What you can do is take the content, the text-based content from ChatGPT, and marry it to a template in one of these visual AI builder tool, resume builder tools, and kind of get the outcome that you are hoping for. Okay. Almost done. Just a couple more things I wanted to share with you. So as you're looking to finalize your resume, some of the things to keep in mind are making sure that your professional summaries are very impactful, highlighting your strengths. You can do multiple iterations of it. You don't have to satisfy yourself with the first or second version, right? You can continue to look for what can I improve here. You can also try different AI tools, right? Go to Copilot and ask for it. Claude AI and ask for it and see if you can merge the best of the lot along with it. You can do that as well. And the other thing to keep in mind is optimize your resumes for these ATS tools, right? Applicant tracking system tools, because a lot of them are AI based systems today. So the first touch of your resume might not even be by a human. It might be by an AI-based ATS system that will look for some specific things in your resume and shortlist it only if you match some of those specific things, right? So let me go back to ChatGPT and see if I can ask ChatGPT to optimize that resume for ATS. So the prompt I will use is, can you optimize the resume for ATS? Again, a very simple prompt. You can certainly add more details to it, but let's see what it comes back with. It includes keywords and phrases directly from the job description while maintaining clarity and readability. So what it does is it's matching what an AI-based ATS system might look for to shortlist your resume and trying to map that by not openly just borrowing terms from there, but trying to work it in such that it seems like a natural part of your resume, right? And again, you can iterate on this as well. It's still working. And it will hold us towards the end what it did, right? So here you go. Why is this ATS friendly? Because keywords from the job description includes team leadership, customer service, and other relevant terms. Uses simple fonts and structure, avoiding graphics, tables, or columns that may confuse parsing software. Interesting. As you think of visual themes, something else to think of. It has certain action-oriented bullets, and there's a core competency section that lists relevant skills that are typically used by these ATS systems, right? Now, of course, the ATS systems might also evolve, so we may have to play catch up sometimes, but this is a great start on building a resume that might have kind of dotted the I's and crossed the T's for you to the point where you should feel confident that your resume, the first impression that recruiters and hiring managers will get from your resume will be on the very, very positive side. Okay. So that is pretty much what I had for you folks today. The last thing I'll leave you with are some data points that might interest you, right? There are many studies and research recently that have talked about how improved resume quality leads to better employment rates. So here is one that says that you utilizing AI tools to create very compelling resumes leads to on an average an 8% increase in hiring rates, enhanced interview opportunities, and there are many personalized resume crafting tools, including something called Kick Resume, kind of similar to the enhanced CV that I showed you. And ultimately, make sure you call out measurable impacts, even if it's one or two. Not everybody can have 10 things that they have had a measurable impact on unless your career spans 3 decades. But call out at least those one or two things that you believe is your measurable impact in work that you have done and you're proud of. Okay. Um, as I will stop, stop my own, conversation here with you folks and kind of segue it back to Aparna. The one last thing I want to call out is I want you folks to keep in mind that I'm very confident in the next 6 months to a year, around that time frame, AI and specifically generative AI will become a skill that I think in any role is an essential part, right? Plays an essential part. I don't think there's going to be a new type of position like prompt engineer. I don't see that happening. But I think prompt engineering or working with generative AI systems as part of your role will become a very key skill because that enhances how effectively you do your job. And this is regardless of what job you're in. It's not something specific to technology based jobs or such, but regardless of what your job involves, I think having a generative AI and a prompt engineering skill along with it will soon become kind of a baseline expectation. And I would greatly encourage all of you to consider getting those skills as you look to get that dream job in the coming new year. Okay. So all the very best, folks. Thank you very much. I hope this was interesting. I will maybe request my colleague to help me out with any questions that she has curated for me that I can answer. And beyond that, I'm going to hand it back to my colleague, Aparna. Have a great rest of the day or a good evening. Thank you all very much again. Aparna, any questions you may want to call out?
Yeah. So before I get to questions, I think I've shared the link to the GenAI course that Simplilearn offers, and this particular GenAI course is suitable to anyone here. So you needn't be from a tech background. So this particular GenAI course is called Generative AI for Business Transformation. And just to like highlight the syllabus a bit so that you understand.
Would you like me to stop sharing my screen?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yes. So as you can see, you can, through this course, you will understand how generative AI can be leveraged in various domains, various job roles. So you can be from any of these domains, any of these job roles, and you will still find this course relevant. So all you need is just the curiosity to learn about generative AI. And of course, you will be learning all of these tools that you see here. So you will understand how you can apply generative AI, how you can use generative AI in your day-to-day job or whatever you do. And of course, through today's session, you understood how you can leverage Gen AI in your job search process as well, right? So for people interested in learning generative AI in general, and just to fulfill their curiosity, I'm just going to launch a very quick poll before we head to questions about whether you are interested in knowing more about the course that I just shared. So all the other details that you would want to know about the fees, about when the cohort is starting, when the applications are ending, everything is available on the course page. So just to answer those questions alone, your cohort starts next month and your application ends in the next couple of days. Of course, you will still be considered, if you are really interested, the admissions panel will be considered enough to take you in. Okay, so I'm just going to launch this poll and we'll head to questions from now. Okay, so I think some of them were looking for these prompts. Are you going to be sharing these prompts, Nagendra? Um, some of
Sure.
them, yeah.
Sure. I can put that on chat. Sure.
Right, great. Thanks. And so Sarth has a question. He's a digital marketer, and how can he integrate his job role? And how do you think it is evolving? One, and second, he also wants to understand how AI helps track the application of a person. For job, it is, for job in ATS tracker, is it AI driven? That's what his question is.
Okay. I'll answer the second part of the question. I think I missed the first part of the question. I'll come back to you on that, Aparna. But the
Yeah.
second part of the question, certainly, ATS trackers used to be like less about AI in the past, but these days I think everybody has adopted a more AI-driven software approach because it just does things better, right? It's a lot more efficient and it's able to learn as it goes along, which is a very key element of which the traditional ATS systems did not have. So absolutely, yes, it is a software-driven and AI-driven system that can be tuned and continues to learn as it goes along.
Got it. So he is a digital marketer, the person who posed this question. What are the things that a digital marketer can do in their career so that they can integrate their job role with its evolving nature? I think he means how he can integrate AI with digital marketing.
Absolutely. So the course that Aparna just referred to, right, the one for business transformation that Simplilearn offers, has a very cool segment on how to make use of generative AI in sales and marketing.
Yeah.
So there are certainly a lot of aspects we explore there, which are very practical and real world in terms of how you can do that. Thank you, Aparna, for sharing that on the screen.
Yeah.
So while we will not be able to get into specifics there, I think there's just we're barely scratching the surface in terms of these capabilities, and there's a whole host of tools. Here in today's session, we looked at maybe 2 or 3 AI systems, but in that particular topic, you'll probably be introduced to many more, which can help you generate personalized campaigns, generate specific images and marketing collateral, help you even automate your marketing workflow based on a certain trigger like an email query coming in and how you can respond to that with a personalized marketing based response and so on. So there's a whole lot of possibilities, and this course does a nice job of exploring some of that.
Great. Thank you, Nagendra, for answering that. We have another question that says, yeah, so do these prompts, anything that you showed today, do these work for the free version of ChatGPT?
Yes, I think if you upload or download files, it has some limitation in terms of how many you can do that in a day in the free version. But most of the prompts I shared are fairly straightforward. So yes, it does work.
Got it. Got it. Um, all right. Shana, if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, you can check the link because if you're living outside India, you will be able to see the course in your currency. Thank you for sharing. The next cohort starts on December 16, but there's one coming up in the next month as well, in case you are interested. Okay, moving forward. Alex has a question looking for information regarding creating of agents. That's his question.
Sure. Very outside of the scope of our conversation today, but AI-based agents are a very exciting space where you can expect it to, the way we are looking at generative AI today, at least with prompts and conversational AI, is about point in time specific questions in artifacts and information that's being exchanged, right? Agents are things that you can give it a task, and even if the task has multiple steps, it's able to figure out how to execute it. You don't have to tell it how, you only need to tell it the what, and it can go execute that set of tasks that it creates for itself. So if you give it a goal, it will figure out what are the tasks I need to do to achieve this goal and go execute that and give you the outcome. So broadly speaking, that's an agent, and I see that becoming a very exciting space in the AI world. But I think beyond that, details might be a little outside of the topic we talked about today.
Got it. Great. Another one is, okay, so very, straightforward one. Should you include your picture in a professional resume?
So there are two schools of thought on this. There are some kind of roles where they don't prefer a picture, and others where they do. But if you already have a LinkedIn profile with your picture in it, then you can have a safe bet that they'll probably look at your LinkedIn profile also. So you can consider a picture optional, again, depending on the kind of role you are getting into, right? If you are going to play a role where your portfolio of pictures is going to be very, very important in selecting you, then obviously that's a very different ask altogether.
Yeah.
But traditionally speaking, there are two schools of thought. Some recruiting managers like to have a picture so they know who they're talking to. Others don't really care for it. I don't think it can hurt your chances. But if you want to play it safe, you can always point them in your resume to your LinkedIn profile, where more likely than not you'll have a picture anyway.
Got it. Great. I hope, Pam, that answers your question as well. And so we have another question here. Is there a syntax for prompting? Example, open and close brackets or a hash? I don't
No,
think there is, but
no, absolutely not.
yeah.
Prompting is basically just
Okay.
it's the straightforward natural language that we use, which is
Yeah.
why generative AI uses big aspects of natural language processing under the cars. So no, there is no format as such. The only things to keep in mind is if there was really a super intelligent being in the room with you, how would you interact with this being? How would you set context on what you're asking? How would you give clarity on what you're expecting as an outcome? Think of those things as you craft your prompt, but no, there is no format.
Hmm. Got it. So Pam has another question here. Do any of these have limitations on how many resumes you can generate for a business? For a business, how can we use this to optimize speed and efficiency? In other words, minimize time and money for resume. Should individuals invest in their own software, or are there tools that can handle that level of capacity? I mean, she's looking for
Uh,
suggestions to her
So
organization.
I'm a little confused there, because if you're a business, why would you want to create so many resumes? I don't know if you're talking about screening resumes or creating resumes, but
Yeah,
since our focus today was primarily around building resumes,
yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
you should look at all the tools out there and decide which ones you can just use the free version to get the best impact out of, and which ones you are willing to pay for. But other than that, I think it depends on really your appetite for using these tools for creating a resume.
I'm not sure. Maybe she may be, handling a training organization or something. So
Mhm.
maybe that, but yeah, I think this should answer her question.
Okay.
So CJ is switching roles now, later in life, being a stay-at-home mom, finishing PG for AI and ML. What do you recommend with the resume for this type of background?
That's the kind of question you should be asking generative AI, because I guarantee you it will give you a much more nuanced answer than me.
Absolutely.
Because that's exactly the whole point of this session today. That these are some of the questions you can ask generative AI tools, and ask follow-up questions, ask for it to fine-tune its answers so that you can pick what makes sense to you. So I would say try that out, try that question right away with ChatGPT and see what it tells you.
Yeah, I mean, session is all about using generative AI. So I think implement your learnings right away, I guess. The next one is, so my contribution is that JobBright.ai is one AI tool that can help you generate your resume and cover letters in Word and PDF format. I think he's trying to add to the conversation. Thanks.
Right. It was one of those Explore GPTs that I showed you, right? The
Hmm.
resume builder. By that was by job, right? Absolutely.
Right. Okay, great. So one last question that we have here is, do you think generative AI is already a mature technology?
Um, Mature is a relative term, right? I
Yeah.
would put it this way. It's an evolving technology. So I don't know if we can, I don't know if there's a line to cross saying it's mature or immature. That line will probably forever keep moving, right? But I think it's an evolving technology with great potential and growing leaps and bounds. It's growing exponentially in terms of its capability and maturity on an hourly basis, not even daily basis. So I think it's evolving constantly. That's something to keep in mind as we use these systems in terms of making sure that the outcome, the output it gives us is something that makes sense to us and it meets the parameters of what we are looking for, does not get us into any violation of policy kind of trouble in our organization. These are some of the things to keep in mind. There's a lot of ethics and bias discussion we need to have when using these systems. Again, very nicely covered in that course, in that whole journey that Aparna was referring to. So if you take up that course, that's one of the aspects that we'll discuss in detail there.
Great. Great. I think we're done with questions here, but thanks so much, Nagendra, today for your time. It was really great having you and also listening to you on how we can use generative AI. I mean, I think you just showed out all the possibilities of how we can use generative AI and craft a resume and how we can use the various tools as well. I think that was really helpful for most of our learners. Okay, all of these prompts you've pasted on the chat.
Right.
Great.
I tried to gather as many prompts as I used today. Not all of them, perhaps I might have missed a couple, but hopefully I got the relevant ones and I've pasted it on chat. You're all welcome to take a look at it and use it as you see fit.
Yeah, so I'm going to keep the chat box off for the rest of the session as well. And great, so we are at the end of the session here, and we are also going to be launching another poll asking you your names for the webinar certificate. So I'm sure a lot of you would be keen to receive a certificate and share it on LinkedIn and also tag Nagendra on LinkedIn there. So just put in your full name if you would like to have a certificate. So you will receive the recording as well as the certificate in the next 24 hours. Okay, great. So while we do that, any closing thoughts you have, Nagendra, for the learners here?
No, I think I just want to thank you, Aparna. It's been great co-hosting on and being a co-panelist with you on this. All the very best, folks. I think the fact that you have taken the first step towards understanding how generative AI can help you with resumes is a kind of a step in the right direction as you look to, I'm sure, and are excited about gaining more generative AI and AI skills as well. And all the very best. I hope the new year bodes well for you in terms of your dream job. And I hope generative AI plays a very valuable role of a partner in the room for all of you. Have
Yes,
a great rest of the day.
absolutely, absolutely. It's a great way to end the session to talk about New Year. So with that, I think we come to the end of this session. And if you guys are interested in attending more of these webinars, you could just join our WhatsApp community. So along with the prompts that Nagendra has shared, just one more message for you there is the link to our WhatsApp community in case you're not a part of it already. You can be a part of it and receive alerts to any of the upcoming webinars. There are more webinars lined up, more interesting ones, just like these. It was great having you and hosting you today. Thank you, Nagendra, and thank you, all the other learners. Have a great day.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye for now.
Bye. 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 So in case you guys have already entered your name, I'm sorry, entered your names in the polls, you can leave. There's nothing else that the session has. In case you haven't, I'll just leave the poll live for another 30 seconds and then I'm going to close the session. Okay? Yes. I hope you found the session useful. In case you are looking to take a look at the recording immediately, let's say, you don't want to wait for the recording to come in. Here you go. Today's live sessions. I've sent the link to the YouTube recording as well. In case you want to take a look at it, go through it one more time, you can find it there. Okay. Yeah, I can already see people joining in on the WhatsApp community. Remember, we've got webinars for all various domains: cloud, cybersecurity, generative AI, data analysis, all of the domains that you can imagine. So just hang on in the WhatsApp group for more of our alerts. Yeah. Just remember to also engage on our community. Make sure you are liking our posts, that we know that you are enjoying these sessions. Yeah. All right. All right. So let's look at our poll responses. Yeah, I think all of you are done. Great, great, great. Thank you so much for your entries. I'll see you guys in another session. Bye-bye then. Have a good